It has been 346 days since I started investing $5 a day into Vanguard's VOO, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over how my investment has performed since that time. Since the beginning of the year, we have seen a tremendous amount of movement in the stock market. Starting out in January when President Trump was inaugurated, we saw the market surge to the upside with many companies hitting all-time highs, only for us to crash back down to reality whenever he implemented tariffs with our trading partners around the world, and more specifically China. And last week it was announced that the US and China had agreed to a 90-day pause in their trade war, and each country agreed to roll their tariffs back to 10% each. However, the US still has a 25% fentanyl tax that they have on China, and that is due to some of the illegal drugs that are being smuggled into the US, and the US is still trying to pressure China into stopping fentanyl from coming inside of our country. So the pullback in the market didn't last as long as I thought it would, but even with that said, we were still able to average into our position of VOO as well as our other positions inside of our portfolio at much lower cost. And like I've said in the past, the stock market can be extremely volatile and it's often unpredictable. And no one can really tell where the market is going to ultimately go. But there were tons of people that thought that the market was going to continue to fall to the downside. And with the mention of the 90-day pause, all of the losses that we had sustained from the tariffs were gone just like that. Now, I do want to caution you that it is only a 90-day pause at this point, and there is no real deal that has been signed or agreed to yet. And we know that this administration can be extremely unpredictable. So kind of keep that in mind as you're deciding when to invest and when to average into your positions, that just because the market has returned this week, in the next week or two, it can ultimately dip back down to the downside, depending on what goes on and what happens globally with the trade talks. And with that said, we're just going to continue to invest in the market. So if you're investing daily with me as part of this challenge, we're going to continue to invest daily. If you're investing weekly or monthly, you're just going to continue whatever cadence that works for you. We're just going to continue to do that regardless of what the price is, because we cannot predict where pricing is going to go. Now, before I jump in and review my portfolio with you, I just wanted to go over a few of the comments that I've received over the past month or so with regards to the investment updates that I provide in my portfolio. In the very first one, it comes from Molly Girl, and it says, I could only imagine if I had started in my mid-20s. If anyone is reading this, it's better late than never. Now, that's one of the things that I talk a lot about on my channel, is getting people involved much earlier, because the longer that you have to invest, the more that your investments have time to compound and build wealth over time. But even with that said, it's never too late to get started with investing. And if you've already made it to a point to where you're in your 40s or your 50s and you haven't started investing, that doesn't mean that you should never start, right? It's just better if you start out early. It's just a fact. Now, the next comment comes from Miss Memphis. She says that she's 58 years old. She's never invested, but she's trying to learn now since she's retired. And like I had just previously stated, it's never too late to get started with investing. And the next person that left a comment, and this was more of a question, and it says, hey, what broker are you using? She says, because Trading 212 is not allowing me to buy, and they're in the UK. So I'm not 100% sure what 212 is, but I use Webull to invest in this portfolio that I'm building out on my channel. I also invest using Fidelity, and I use Charles Schwab as well. But the only difference is that not every broker allows you to buy fractional shares of index funds and ETFs. I like using Webull because Webull is very intuitive and it allows you to buy those fractional shares. There's several other brokers out there that will allow you to buy fractional shares. Robinhood, off the top of my head, is another one that allows you to purchase fractional shares. So I'm using Webull. And the next comment comes from All Day Eloquence, and they said, thanks for sharing. They've been focused on their Fidelity portfolio this month, and for the next 2 months, it'll be Vanguard and some Schwab. So they need to continue investing in there nonstop. So that's kind of the mentality that you have to have in order to build wealth. You have to start out, and oftentimes when you start building wealth, it's a slow process, but once you get going, it almost kind of gets addicting, right? It really does, because when I very first started investing in the stock market, I would put a little bit of money in there, and then you would see it go up a little bit, or sometimes it goes down, or it's just flat. But after a while, you just kind of get like addicted to it. It's almost like a video game where you're just like, how much money can I put in this month? And then whenever you watch it move to the upside and to the downside, it gets a little addicting. And then the next comment comes from Coffee King. It says, keep it up, fire sales going on recently, right? And this was from 2 weeks ago. This comment came in when the market had pulled back, and that was our opportunity. That was the opportunity that the market presented for us to double or triple down in our portfolios. So in the investment account that I'm building out on this channel, I continue to invest, particularly in VOO, just the $5. But in my other accounts, I did invest more than normal in those accounts because I knew the market had pulled back. So I wanted an opportunity to double and triple down in those investments. So just want to make sure that we're continuing to invest. And then the last comment that I'm going to review here before jumping in my channel really just kind of solidifies what I always say, which is you have to block out all of the negativity and the people that are trying to discourage you from investing. We oftentimes will start investing. We may tell someone, family, friend, coworker, whatever it may be, and they'll often try to discourage you. So you have to block that out, because we know that investing is one of the best ways for you to actually start building wealth. But here's a comment that I got, which kind of tripped me out a little bit because it just didn't really make sense to me. It says, you are copying a billionaire investing that's 2 months late. LOL. They will have traded out by the time you get the info. Scam. So again, not 100% certain what that comment meant or what that comment was about, but dollar cost averaging has been around for decades. I'm not telling you anything that's new. There is a blueprint that has been set up and structured for us to win. So why are we going to deviate away from that? You follow the greats like Buffett, and he'll tell you dollar cost averaging into your portfolio is how to win. So I'm not gatekeeping here. I'm not pretending that I'm giving you some magic secret or some secret sauce that's going to help you to build wealth. I am building out a portfolio right here on this channel, and I'm trying to be as transparent as possible with all of you guys out there. So whenever you hear or you see things like that, you got to remember, you have to block that out, because the only way to build wealth is by investing, right? We're not going to do it from working a 9 to 5. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in and let's take a look at how my portfolio has performed. So if you take a look to the top left here, you'll see that I have an open P&L of $152.13, and my investment in VOO is up 8.72%. So I think that's pretty good. And then on the day, I'm up $3.80 or 0.20%. And then I have a total market value of $1,896.76. And I have a total cost of $1,744.62. And the average price that I've been able to purchase VOO since January of 2024 is $503.46. And then if we go down a little bit further, I have a total quantity of 3.465 shares, so almost 3.5 shares of VOO. And the position ratio in my portfolio, so if you've been watching any of my other videos on my daily investing, you know that I'm also investing every day in SCHD and Vanguard's VGT. But VOO makes up 49.57% of my portfolio. I've been investing in that the longest, since January. SCHD, I started investing in that in November of 2024. And Vanguard's VGT, I started investing in that of March of 2025. And then the last price that VOO traded at on closing today was $547.36. And then if we take a look at this screen right here, we'll see that after closing, so after the closing bell, there was still some trading going on. And as of the recording of this video, Vanguard VOO is trading at $546.82. We see that we had that 52-week high. So the highest price that Vanguard has traded at, Vanguard's VOO has traded at in the last 1 year is $561.97. So you see that we are surging back to the upside after that 90-day pause in the tariffs. And we had a 52-week low of $442.80. And again, we were able to average in at that lower price when it pulled back. I did think that it would last a little bit longer, but again, a lot of pressure coming from internal here in the United States and Canada ended that a lot sooner than I thought it would. All right, so now let's talk about dividends. Since January of 2024, I have received a total of 6 dividend payouts for my investment in Vanguard's VOO, and the total amount is $16.67. So not a lot, but the amount that I've received in dividends has been reinvested back into my position in VOO. All right, so that's the breakdown of my $5 a day investment into Vanguard's VOO over the last 346 days. One thing that I want you to remember, and I've mentioned this on previous videos and I'll continue to mention it, is that the 346 days is 346 trading days, right? It's not including holidays. It's not including the weekends. I like to make sure that I mention that because I do get that question a lot is, am I investing $5 a day just on trading days and am I including the weekends? No, does not include weekends, does not include holidays. I also want to point out that I'm investing in Vanguard's VOO, but you don't have to. I like VOO because I want to invest in the S&P 500, which makes investments in the top 500 companies within the US. So that works for me, but it may not work for you. I'll make sure to include an ETF database down in the description below that I use to research all of the index funds that I'm interested in investing in. So make sure you go in and you check that out and you pick the fund that works best for you. One thing to remember is that building wealth is often a slow process, especially in the beginning. So if you're seeing little to no movement in your portfolio and you just got started, don't get discouraged, because once you get going, once you get that snowball rolling down the hill, you'll start to see it pick up momentum much more quickly. I've only been investing $5 a day since January of 2024. So if you're able to invest more than $100 a month in your position and not only invest it there, but keep it there, you'll start to see your returns take off in no time.